It's good day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy, Millsy. Back to Hometown Commander, back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew version 1.0 deck list from the commander in front of us in my quest to brew the magic world. You know the motto, baby. It's ABB, always be brewing, and that's what we're back to do today. The deck list is going to be down in the description for you below. As always, I'd really appreciate it if you could interact with the video, like, comment, subscribe, consider checking out the links in the description. The Discord's been popping lately. I'd love for you to come join. Today we're starting off Jeskai Week, and I think there's no better way to start it off than, since we're covering our commanders in alphabetical order, talking about Elsha Threefold Master, a new 3-mana 1/1 Dijin monk with Trample and Prowess. And whenever Elsha deals combat damage to a player, you're going to make that many 1/1 monks with Prowess. I love this idea for a commander. Soup up Elsha, get a bunch of monks, and have the monks be threats with Prowess. Prowess is a really fun ability whenever we're casting a non-creature spell, getting +1/+1 until end of turn. And we're also going to do things to specifically make Elsha bigger herself so we can get more tokens, right, with Prowess, and just kind of work Elsha being a threat into a threat with a bunch of monks. But I want to say a quick thank you to the channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you're interested in seeing all the videos early for just $1 a month, check it out down below the video. I think there's a lot of ways to approach this deck. We're going to kind of just rock through it by bits and pieces. There are ways we can give basically extra copies of Prowess to creatures. Note that Prowess is an ability you can have multiple instances of. So a couple ways we can do this. Bria is actually a creature from Bloomburrow that gives all your other creatures Prowess. And then whenever we cast a non-creature spell, we can actually give a creature unblockability, and great for Elsha, right, to make sure she hits for sure. Balmor kind of gives this pseudo-prowess. Whenever we cast an instant or sorcery, creatures we control get +1/+0 and trample until end of turn. So very interesting, right, adding that trample. Again, only on instants and sorceries, but we do have a lot of them, so that makes sense. Kits has its own version of prowess, but when you get to 3 power for the turn, whether that be through Prowess or other means, you can actually tap it to copy a spell as long as Kits' power is 3 or greater. Could be pretty useful, right? Depending on the spell, and a nice threat in itself. Also is a nice draw discard outlet. The Yonian Light Scribe basically gives us Prowess, but it's only for instants and sorceries. But the difference between this and regular Prowess is Light Scribe says whenever we cast or copy an instant or sorcery. So even if we copy an instant or sorcery, we still get +1/+1 out. Narset, again, giving out Prowess to our whole board. And whenever she attacks, we're going to exile a non-creature, non-land card with mana value less than her power from a graveyard and copy it and cast the copy. If you're interested in Narset more as a commander, we're going to cover her in a couple days. But again, great option in the deck to give out Prowess. And then Jeskai Ascendancy basically gives out Prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, all of our creatures get +1/+1. We do untap them, though, which is kind of interesting. This could help us pay off spells with Convoke and things like that if we wanted to. And then whenever we cast a non-creature spell, we can draw a card. If we do, we pitch a card. So again, here's some options to hand Prowess out to all of our opponents. But I think the thing we really want to do, especially if we want to get a bunch of monks off of Elsha, is make Elsha bigger. And there's a lot of ways to do this. We'll talk about the spells in a second, but there's a lot of equipment that care about specific things. Like Horn of Valhalla cares about how many creatures you control. It gives a creature +1/+1 for that, potentially just making Elsha really big and getting us more monks for it. Stoneforged Masterwork gives that creature +1/+1 for each other creature that shares a type with it. Well, Elsha's a monk, so every monk we make is going to share a type, making her bigger. Sword of the Squeak says creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control with base power toughness 1, which is all of our monks. So that's going to allow us to give that as a buff. The other thing I like about these equipment is even, let's say Elsha dies, but we still have a board full of monks. Just attach these to one of the other monks for something else, right? And they're still threats on their own. Wing Boots can get her in the air and give her Ward 4. A really great ability to help us protect Elsha as she tries to get in for damage. And then I really like Steel of the Godhead. A 3-mana aura that if the creature's white, it has lifelink. Well, yeah, that's Elsha. She gets +1/+1 to lifelink. And if she's blue, +1/+1 and unblockable. Again, she's that as well. So +1/+1 lifelink and unblockable is a really nice set of abilities. The thing I tried to work in, because I think it makes sense when we talk about some of these buff spells, is there's 2 commanders that care a lot about buff spells, and I think both of them could really help Elsha out, being Feather the Redeemed and Zada. I believe we covered Zada a little bit ago on the channel. I don't think I've covered Feather quite yet. But Feather says whenever we cast an instant or sorcery that targets a creature we control, we exile it instead of putting it into our graveyard, and we get it back at the beginning of the next end step. And Zada says anytime we cast an instant or sorcery that targets only Zada, we copy that spell for every other creature we control. And each of those copies has a different target. These kind of do exactly what we want this buff spell thing to do, but in different ways. We cast one of these buff spells, hopefully targeting Elsha. Feather will just give it back to us. Zada says, hey, why don't you target Zada instead, and it'll go off for every creature you have. Again, just really allowing all of these spells to get even better, especially the ones that draw us cards or do us other things. So the question is, what are the kind of things we have access to? Well, we have things like Angel Fire Ignition to put 2 counters on a creature, giving it Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink, Indestructible, and Haste until end of turn. Again, that means better guaranteed damage for Elsha, making it bigger. Indestructible, so we're not worried about swinging with it. It has Vigilance, so it could block, but the Lifelink's huge too, and we can already flash it back. So this is one where we can already play twice, and is great even with or without these guys on the battlefield. Cloak of Feathers, Enter the Enigma, and Slip Through Space are all cards that are going to try to make Elsha unblockable. Cloak of Feathers puts her in the air, Enter the Enigma, and Slip Through Space just make her unblockable. All 3 of them draw a card. And these are the kind of fun spells that if you see Zada, you get to copy them targeting all your creatures, right? For 2 of these, just making your whole board unblockable, but then you draw a bunch of cards as well, right? Refilling your hand and getting us access to more other things. The nice thing is, this will also, all 3 of them will just draw us a card, and maybe being able to have another spell we can play that turn. Teleportal for 2 mana can make 1 creature unblockable till end of turn and give it a +1/+0 buff, but for 5 mana it can make our whole board unblockable and have +1/+0. So love that, right? Being able to make everything on our board a big threat. Bulk Up can just double Elsha's power until end of turn. It'd be ideal taking her from a 5 or a 6 to a 12 or a 10, right? Just getting that many monks and being able to just really hit somebody hard. Then we can flash that back out of our graveyard. Crimson Whiffs gives a creature effectively haste, but draws us a card. Again, the whole point is maybe you make a key creature hasty, but you draw a card and you have that prowess trigger for your board. Leap, giving a creature flying until end of turn, again, trying to make her a little bit more unblockable. Legion Leadership, just doubling target creature's power, and it has First Strike, really nice with Trample on Elsha. That way we know that we can hopefully win that combat no matter what and hit hard. And then Fist of Flame is a very interesting card. So you draw a card, and then until end of turn, target creature gets Trample and +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. This is really fun with Zada, because they'll end up drawing you a card for every creature you control and just handing out massive buffs. But Fist of Flame can also be good since we have a lot of these other cards that just draw us cards. At minimum, if you play Fist of Flame into an open board where you haven't drawn any cards yet this turn besides your opening draw, this is a +2/+0 in Trample. But again, the more cards you draw in a turn, the better this Fist of Flames gets that turn. Psychotic Fury giving, hopefully, Elsha double strike and drawing a card is huge. Shadow Rift, giving it Shadow pseudo unblockability, right? Because if somebody does actually have a Shadow creature, then they can block. But Shadow is very abnormal and common in the average deck in our era of Commander. And you get to draw a card. And then Temur Battle Rage giving it double strike. It already has Trample, so we don't really care about the Ferocious. But double strike is huge, just getting us more monks in one turn. But we don't want to just stop at buffing Elsha. I mean, Elsha is an avenue for us to get more monks, but we need to do something to end the game. And so I do think we want to put some value into these enchantments and things that'll buff our creatures. Remember that Prowess goes off on any non-creature spell. So all these artifacts and enchantments are going to trigger Prowess. Patchwork Banner giving all of our monks +1/+1 and letting us draw. Flowering of the White Tree gives a flat +1/+1 to all of our non-legendary creatures. Our legendary creatures get the benefit of 1 more power in Ward 1. Frostcliff Siege can either draw us cards whenever 1 or more creatures hit a player, or give all of our creatures +1/+0 Trample and Haste. I think most of the time we want the Trample and Haste, making sure that our monks can get through for the extra damage, even if they're chump blocked. Intangible Virtue giving them all +1/+1 in Vigilance. Renewed Solidarity looks like a really fun one again here, like we've talked about a little bit during Mardu Week last week. At the beginning of your end step, for each token you control of the chosen type that entered this turn, create a token that's a copy of it, so we could basically get double the monks we make every turn, making that board really, really wide. And then Shared Animosity. Every creature when it attacks gets +1/+0 for every other creature that shares a type with it. Again, this plus a trample a neighbor like the siege, or just enough tokens could spell a big hit for our opponents as we just push towards getting damage in. But I've said it before on the show, I'll say it again. No deck's ever complete. Going into testing, I think the two things I'd be looking at are, am I doing enough to get enough prowess in a turn? Like, is Elsha going to be consistently big enough? Because my thought is we have these 1-mana spells, things like Reckless Charge and Titan Strength, that give a creature +3/+1 or +3/0 until end of turn. Could be a nice way to get a couple extra monks in a turn, right? At minimum 3, if not 4, right? Because of prowess. That could make sense to me. We could also, I believe we're looking at it in the list, you have things like Past in Flames and Will the Jeskai let you play spells back out of your graveyard, to really take a big prowess turn. My other thought was something like Kaikar. I didn't have it in the list originally because I was trying to focus more on the monk tokens, but I think things like this that just make tokens when you cast other things could be really useful, give you some more threats, and then you could sack those spirits for some extra mana. Again, I think they're just options. We really want to see how consistently does Elsha do what we want her to do, and then from there, fill in the pieces around it, right, as we see how the deck functions. But let's do what we love to do best on the channel and get into our playtest. Remember, the goal of playtest on our channel is not to find Magical Christmas Land. It's not to show off our best plays, but it's to get into some game scenarios and understand how to pilot this thing. Here we're keeping a 3-lander with Balmor, Renewed Solidarity, Twinferno, which can give a creature double strike, pretty fun, or copy a spell, and then Narset. I think we pretty clearly want to work our way up towards Elsha here. I kind of like getting Balmor down on turn 2 since we can do it there. Turn 3, get Elsha down right, work our way up towards taking a nice attack with her next turn. All right, so here on 4, we've got a couple options. We've got Renewed Solidarity could get us an extra monk or 2 this turn. We got the War Leader's Call, right, to buff all our creatures and then do damage when creatures come in. Or we could give her double strike. I think there's a lot of options here. At minimum, any of them I cast, she's going to be a 2/2. So that might not give me a big chance. If I go with Twinferno, then she's a 3/2 because of Balmor with double strike. Could be a good chance to get a couple monks. And if I go with War Leader's Call, she's just a 3/3 with trample, and get some monks. I think Twinferno presents the chance for the most monks. Unless someone cannot block Elsha, then I think Solidarity presents our best chance for monks, because we're going to end up with 4, right? 6. 3, because it's going to be a 2/2 with the +1/+0 from the Solidarity. And then, right, and so 3 when we attack, and then 3 on end step. So if no one has a block for Elsha, I think the Solidarity is the best pick. If someone has some blocks for Elsha, I think Twinferno is the best hit. Getting her to be a 3/2 with double strike, and just allowing that to really benefit. We'll say for the purpose of this one that the Solidarity makes the most sense, just to show the interaction off. So right, you see the 3/2 because we're choosing monk for the Solidarity, making 3 on hit. And then in the end step, we made 3 monks, so we make 3 more. And my thought here is there's a couple ways we can transfer this in. We can go Banner of Kinship to give all of our monks +7/+7 right now. Or, you play something like the Soul Ring, where at 6 mana, you could go, War Leader's Call and then Twinferno on Elsha to make damage when they come in. I mean, the Banner makes the most sense. That's if nobody has the counterplay for it, because we've got 7 monks, right? So this is coming in with 7 counters. They now all get +7/+7. So they're 9/8s, right? Because of the Solidarity. Elsha's got the prowess just like the monks. So they're actually all 10/9s this turn. I don't think the trample matters for these guys. I mean, it matters for Elsha. We probably get, I would guess, 5 or 6. And then on end step, you're getting those 6 more, right? And now, unless somebody has a board wipe, your opponents are in a ton of trouble if they can't find a way to deal with this now just board of monks that you have sitting here. Yeah, we're in right board wipe territory as far as mana goes, but I mean, I think again, this is a deck that I think when it's firing on all cylinders is going to be pretty darn hard to deal with. So let's go into playtest number 2. Keep it a 3-lander with a Talisman, 2 different draw spells, and Bria. So not a bad start. I love the idea of So I thought about casting the draw spells on there on turn 1, but I kind of like the idea of trying to work my way up towards using them once we have things out that care about them, just so we can get the bonuses. I was going to say, if I do Bria this turn, I can't guarantee Elsha can get in next turn. I think I have to do Elsha this turn. I could think about doing, Ponder or Serum Visions now, I guess. Draw a card and we scry 2. We did not see a land, so I can't get Bria and another spell in, but I could go for something like Psychotic Fury plus Legion Leadership to get a big attack. Let's see, 2 on the Psychotic Fury. Psychotic Fury would bring her up to 2, give her double strike. Legion Leadership would bring her up to 3 and then 6 with double strike, and again, could be a big attack. And then there's the Solidarity to follow up with the that. So I actually don't mind that at all. Again, we wasted the Prowess this turn, but that's okay. So again, I could go digging again for a Ponder, but I honestly don't mind the idea of this. We draw a card off the Psychotic Fury, so there's the Solidarity. And then, so now so it went up to 2 because of the Prowess for Psychotic Fury, went up to 3 with the Prowess because of Legion Leadership, and then doubled to 6 with Double Strike. So we're making probably, I would say, on turn 4 in the range of like 10 monks, I would guess. I mean, unless someone has a really big blocker. And now as we come into this turn, now with the 4 mana, I mean, Shared Animosity feels good. We could do something like Shared Animosity, I think, is a great way to start. Now they're all +1/+1, and then I think I Ponder, right? Now they're all +2/+2. Look at the top 3. Put them back in the order, and then shuffle, and then draw a card. I don't mind getting that patchwork, and I don't mind leaving the Angel Fire on top. Now they're at base 3/3s because of the Prowess. They can attack, right? Because we got them last turn. They're all getting the buffs from Shared Animosity, and unless somebody has something to remove the Shared Animosity or a bunch of the monks, I mean, we're just in great shape. They're going to hit hard. They're each getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? They're all getting basically like 11 plus, plus 11 plus 0. So we're talking about 13 threes. It doesn't take a few of those to get through to really deal some huge damage to somebody and become a real threat. I know these are kind of short playtests, but like truthfully, their opponents either have it or they don't in a deck like this. If you get these fast starts, truthfully, they either have it or they don't. Here's another fast start. 4 mana with an Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, and a way to make Elsha flying, right? So I think you just go, right, Soul Ring into Arcane Signet. This is a nice turn to Elsha, right? Getting our value in and getting it going. Turn 3, I have no way to turn that into a white, but I have a white here. Just don't have a blue source for Balmor. I was trying to think, can I get Balmor and that down? This would give me Balmor, but it wouldn't give me Flowering, right? Because I have no way to turn... Oh, I have a mountain. Okay, so this is a plains. So, yeah. That would give me Balmor. The 2 whites would give me Flowering the White Tree. Now she's up to that's 1 Prowess trigger this turn. So 2/2, Flying would make her a 4/3. And I don't have the mana left for Cloak of Fairies, but that's okay. I'm guessing maybe 2 or 3 monks this turn. I'm sure somebody might have an ice chump blocker. Come to this turn, Impact Tremors is a ton of fun. Casting that, +1/+1 off the Prowess. Cloak of Fairies on Elsha to get her in the air. Draw a card, so that's 1. That's +3, +2 right now because of the Prowess. So she's at a 4/3 plus the 2/1. There's a Twinforno for potentially double strike. But we're a 4, right? I said it was +3, +2 from the Prowess. So that'd be a 4/3. Flowering is making her a 6/4 in the air this turn. Twinforno would make her 7/5, 8/5 because of Balmor with double strike. I mean, we could be dealing 16 damage, just getting a ton of monks. And then remember, all the monks coming in are going to deal damage to our opponents, and we've got other attackers. So I think the Twinforno makes the most sense. Just print a bunch of monks, just dealing big damage to our opponents. The one that we hit for 16 is also taking 16 off the Tremors. They may just be out, depending on if we attack with them with Balmor too, just to get that damage in. Everybody else is taking 16, and we just have a board of monks. And then I'm back on our turn. I was gonna say it didn't really particularly matter. I mean, if somebody kills Elsha, we just bring her back. Get the war leaders call in for the little bit of buffs, and then I think we're just in good shape there. Again, faster playtests, because truthfully, we're trying to do our game plan, and unless somebody can stop us, we're in good shape. Here we see both Feather and Zada here on playtest 4. Kind of interesting hand. A 2-lander with Soaring and Talisman, and that Frostcliff Siege for the haste. And we top a Psychotic Fury. That's kind of big, because now if we can maneuver getting Elsha and Zada out, that could be really good for us. So we've got 5 mana currently. Zada is 4. I kind of want Elsha to attack, though, right? So we got to put Elsha out, I think, this turn. And I would have 2 colors left. Nothing I can do with it. On this turn, again, I'd really like to get Zada on the board. So my thought is Zada plus the Masterwork. That's 5. And then Elsha would get a buff this turn for a 2/2. I mean, if she can take the attack, take the attack. But what I'm really trying to do here is set up Psychotic Fury on Zada so that we can do it on everybody. Now, the only problem is I can't get Feather down this turn and play the Psychotic Fury. I could slip and Psychotic Fury to give both of them unblockability, right, because of Zada's ability. That would be 2... And I think have enough to buff the Masterwork, but I'm just not going to have any monks right before it matters. And I can't... I could slip plus Siege if I wanted to save the Psychotic Fury for a future turn. Because if I Frostcliff here, she gets the Prowess buff. And then I slip on Zada, giving him unblockable, which also gives Elsha unblockable and draws me 2, right? Now, Zada's just an unblockable 3/3. She's a 2/3/3 in the unblockable this turn. Sorry, they're both 4/3s because of Frostcliff Siege. And she makes, me 4 monks, right? Then we come back to our turn. I was trying to find a world where I could get Feather down to not just lose the slip, but I don't think it really mattered. Right now we've got 6 mana. It's 2 to equip the Masterwork, which I think makes sense now that we've got these there. Well, it's 2 to equip that, or 3 to equip the Wing Boots. She's going to get Double Strike. I don't think we really care if she's in the air, right? And then we Psychotic Fury on Zada. We get 5 copies of it, right? So we're drawing 6. Each of these guys are getting Double Strike, and we're only 1 spell up, right? It was 2 to equip that, 2 for this. We've got 2 mana left, and they're all up +1/+1 and have Double Strike. I've got, I believe, if I had done this for the equip, this in 1, I have 2 mana left. I do have enough to Intangible Virtue if I didn't tap the white. If I did tap the white, then I think I would just play the Wing Boots. By the way, let's say we had enough mana for the Virtue. Another Prowess trigger here. Another Prowess trigger for all of them. So they're base 3/3s with Double Strike and the buff from the Frostcliff. She's going to get bigger because of that Stonework. And now we just attack in. They all have Double Strike, so we're making a ton of monks. I mean, the only ideal thing there would have been maybe something like Impact Tremors. But truthfully, they all have the buff and Vigilance now. And again, now we're just in great shape. If the board survives as it is, Angel Fire probably just ends the game outright, giving Elsha everything lifelink, hitting even harder than all the monks next turn have lifelink. This is why I like Zada specifically so much. It's just getting the whole board access to these spells. It is 1 card in the 99, and we're not playing a ton of ways to find it. But I mean, Feather could be good. Think about it. If Feather lets me target Elsha directly, I get the Fury back and just keep doing it every turn, right? And you can start to see where some of these pieces just mesh so well together. But I'd love to know what you think of Elsha down in the comment section below. I think the deck's really interesting. I think it'd be a ton of fun to try out. I've been thinking about Narset a ton. I just think Elsha could be a ton of fun too, getting the monks and doing that. I'd love to know what you think of Elsha down in the comment section below, and I catch you all in the next one.